Alright, here's a lesson to be learned. When a movie has to go through extensive reshoots, let's not flip out until we actually see the movie. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, is the first live-action spin-off Star Wars film to come out ever since Disney acquired Lucasfilm. It's directed by Gareth Edwards and pretty much follows this group of rebels led by Jyn Erso to steal the plans for the Empire's new weapon, the Death Star. So this movie is set during the Galactic Civil War, right before the events of Episode 4. And the reason Jyn Erso, who is played by Felicity Jones, is given this task is because her father was the architect of the Death Star. So given that this is the first theatrically released spin-off film in Star Wars, the first one that was intentionally planned for a theatrical release, a lot of people were wondering how to take this. It's always exciting to get some new Star Wars movies, but people were wondering, what was this going to do that the saga films weren't going to do? Was it going to have the opening crawl? Was it not going to have the opening crawl? Was it going to take some risks that the saga films wouldn't necessarily want to do? So there were a lot of questions to be had going into this movie, and to be honest, my enthusiasm for Rogue One, while pretty big, was not on the level of The Force Awakens when that came out last year. But I was still excited because I always need a great Star Wars fix once in a while. And Rogue One definitely delivered. This is a very different Star Wars movie in many aspects. One, yes, it doesn't have the opening crawl, which surprisingly didn't bother me. It was weird at first, but I thought it was a good way to have these spin-off films stand out from the saga. And also, there's no wipe transitions in this movie. And it's also a grittier and darker looking movie. The way it's filmed, it's just really muddy and dirty. This is a war film. This is the first Star Wars movie where the war in Star Wars is clearly emphasized, and I thought they really did a good job. This was directed by Gareth Edwards, who directed Godzilla. And one thing that he really has an eye for is scale, making things seem huge. There are a lot of shots in this movie that involve the Star Destroyers, the Death Star, even these giant space battles. And Gareth Edwards always has an eye for making things massive and giving them size. He did a great job with that in Godzilla. He does a really great job with this in Rogue One as well. The action scenes are fun to watch as well. It's got some great exciting moments to it, even when you have your stormtroopers once again shooting all over the place and not hitting anything. It's still really fun to watch, and the finale is actually really nail-biting because it's a race against the clock, and it's just really cool to see an epic space battle in Star Wars again. Not to put down the finale in The Force Awakens, but this space battle at the end of Rogue One really had some great scale to it. The characters are a mixed bag. Overall, I think that they're likable, and the actors who portray them do a really good job. Felicity Jones plays Jyn Erso, who is the lead character, and I thought she was pretty likable in the role. She was tough, determined, independent, but wasn't completely cold and heartless. She kind of starts out in that way, given her past, but as the movie goes on, she starts to become more caring towards others, and proves to be one of the big voices for the rebellion. And Felicity Jones always proves to be a really great actress. The first time I saw her in a movie was Like Crazy, that Sundance movie with Anton Yelchin, and I always thought she was really good, and in The Theory of Everything, she's great as well. Felicity Jones has always proven herself to be a really talented actress. The standout character in this movie for me is K2SO, who is an Imperial droid reprogrammed by the Alliance and is voiced by Alan Tudyk, who's more famous for Firefly and Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball. Out of all the characters, he has the most personality. He's the most enjoyable of the bunch. He's sarcastic, he's a bit of an asshole at points, and his scenes really stick out. The rest of the characters are fun and they are likable. Unfortunately, I did think there were points where the characters were a little flat. They do have their little moments here and there where they do grow, but I didn't think there was a whole lot to them. Maybe I need to see this movie a second time to really soak it in, but on the first viewing, I didn't find myself completely invested in the characters the way I wanted it to be. As for your villain, we have Director Krennic, who's played by Ben Mendelsohn, who I thought was really good. Sometimes he was really threatening and full of authority. Other times he came off as a bit of a cliche, that stereotypical Imperial officer. but Ben Mendelsohn did a fine job. If I had another complaint about the movie, and I should point out that I really do like this movie overall, it would be that the opening of the movie, after we go past the prologue, kind of feels rushed. We move from one planet or one location to the next so quickly that we don't really have that much time to catch our breath or get a sense of the surroundings. It feels a little too rushed. However, once Jin and Captain Cassian Andor, who's played by Diego Luna, arrive on the planet Jeddah, I thought the pacing was much better. It didn't feel scatterbrained and all over the place, and it felt a little more coherent. So on the whole, I don't have that much to say about Rogue One. I have some more stuff that I'll elaborate on my spoiler-filled review after I see the movie a second time, obviously. But on a first viewing, I thought it was pretty good. I don't have the same enthusiasm as I did with Force Awakens when that came out last year, but I thought the characters were fun, even if at points they may have been a little flat. Rogue One is a really great departure from the Star Wars saga formula, but manages to stay within the spirit of Star Wars and make a war film. The action's exciting, the visuals are outstanding, the size and mass of the Death Star and the entire Empire as a whole is really well emphasized. So I would definitely say that Rogue One is worth seeing in your lifetime. Again, I wasn't as enthusiastic about it as I was with The Force Awakens, but Rogue One is definitely really exciting, really well done, and I can't wait to see it again. And that's my review for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Look out for my spoiler-filled review within the next few days. I'm aiming towards Monday. And also check in next Thursday for my Let's Play of the Rogue One Scarif DLC in Battlefront. I kind of waited on doing that video until after Rogue One came out, just on the off chance that it contained spoilers. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on Rogue One, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.